My name is Rowena, and I am a Filipina living in Paris. Um, this is my first ever vlog, and I decided to make a vlog about a how to get the process of getting married to the process of getting married with Filipina to a French citizen or um, an European national. So that is my first topic today. Since maybe you guys are wondering how did I get here in France, the first so the first thing that you have to do if you are planning to get married to a French national is to um, first you have to get your cinémar, and then you have to get your birth certificate, and then the same thing with your fiance. He has to have his birth certificate and send it to you, or he can bring it with him. And you, as a Filipina, you have to have your documents, all of them apostille. So with me, it was still, I got married, we got married last year. It was June 21. So that by the time the DFA, the Department of Foreign Affairs was still in, I think only like 80 to 70% only are working. So it was hard for me because at first I want my, well, wait, let's go back to 2019. Okay. So 2019 December, we had our interview. I think if I'm not mistaken, it was December 22, 2019. We had our interview in the French embassy. And so the interview, it's not difficult. It was not difficult. Like they will just ask you how did you met, um how old are you, how uh do you know where is Paris and stuff like that. It was not difficult at all. And plus the consulate that did the interview was nice, very sweet and very nice to us. And so it did not last. Maybe it lasted like 10 minutes. That's about it. So after that, you have to wait for at least, they say, 3 months. But for us, I think it lasted only for two months or month and a half. But really in the paper they'll tell you that it only you have to wait for 3 months. So after that, as we all know what happens, then that was three months. So that was February, March 2020, and we all know what happened with the world. The COVID-19 came, so it lasted, and so all of us was in the dark. We do not know how what to do or anything. So my marriage, um oh gosh, I think what is it, a legal capacity to marry was sitting on the desk of French embassy, and I had to so we have to wait until uh, everything is, and finally 2022 came, and we had to do all over again. In order for you to get your legal capacity to marry, you have to do it over again. But there is no interview, don't worry. You just have to pass um your PSA birth certificate with, again, apostille. You have to pass your cinémar, which again both is apostille. You have to send it to the embassy, and the same waiting. So you have to wait again for the same month. Maybe for us it's like more or less 2 months we waited, and after that it's quick. They'll just send you an email and tell you that your legal capacity is ready to be picked up, and um, that is what uh, you have to do, and you can pick it up by yourself. You don't have to have your fiance with you. You can do it by yourself. For me, it was a little bit difficult because I live in Palawan, and Palawan doesn't have Department of Foreign Affairs who process all the documents to make it legalized like apostille. So, and in Manila, it is so full of people like you have no idea. So if I were you that is planning to get married and can't have a slot to be apostilled, I mean, for your documents to be apostilled, you have to go to, it's either um, Cebu or Iloilo and Davao. That's easy for you to do because there's not a lot of people there. So you wait for 3 days and your apostilled documents is done. That's that's what we did. I did that, and then so let's pass forward. So pass forward, we have our legal capacity to marry. So when you have your legal capacity to marry, you have to go to the municipality where you plan to get married. So you have to apply for a marriage license there. So marriage license, it was a little bit tricky for me because they required that my husband to be with me for the interview because they'll do an interview. It was the social workers that will do the interview. So they required my husband to be present there. And I said, no, he can't be here because he's working right now. He can't just be here to have an interview. Can we do this? Can we do this on Zoom or online? And they said no. Can you imagine that? I said I said we are in COVID. Isn't it isn't it doesn't it make sense for us to do a an online interview? There is a Zoom wedding. And they said no, no, no. I even tried to ask the mayor. I said, is it possible? And the mayor has the power. But he said, no, I think that's their job. So I let them do their job. That's basically what he said. So anyway, um, and it was very stressful because his holiday is planned already. And um, we planned already. We have a complete timeline to do the wedding. In anyway, I'm not ranting right now. I'm just explaining to you guys how the process went for us. And I hope it helps with all you girls that's planning to get married. So you go to your municipality where you want to get married, and then you give all the documents. I think it was the Sinumar, all is apostille, and then take note, girls. You have to have a Sinumar of your husband to be. Where you can get that, you have to go to PSA Philippines also. If you live in any parts of the Philippines, if it's Cebu or Iloilo or whatever, wherever you are getting married, you have to get your partner's Sinumar. And that one drives me crazy because I was thinking, how can my partner have a Sinumar here when he is not from the Philippines? Of course he won't have a Sinumar. But then the explanation is, I was even a little bit upset with the woman at the registration there. She said, why don't because what she said is, why don't you just comply re instead of revolting, or is that a correct word, revolting? Oh, in other words, she said, why don't you just comply instead of complaining? So Anyway, that shuts me up. And so, two, 3 days, 5 days before my fiance arrived. I think it was 5 days. It was very, very tight for us. So we calculated everything, like we have a timeline. When he will be arriving, what we will do, and the process and the interview. I went back uh, to PSA Puerto Princesa. I had to request for a Senomar. And another tip for you guys, you have to have the authorization of your fiance. So he has to write down for you that he blah blah blah. You are allowed to get a Senomar for him in our country, in your country, wherever you are. Oh, I mean specifically Filipino, wherever you are. And then it doesn't take long. They will give it to you. I think for me it was 3 days. So 3 days, and then I got his Cinnamar. After that, he arrived, and then so we process our papers. We gave it to the registrar, so registration office. So we gave it there, and then after that they give us a paper, a piece of paper. So we go to DSWD, which is the counseling per couple. Excuse me. No matter how old you are, you have to go through with that. But it doesn't take long for you. So I think for us it took like maybe 30 minutes. Not because they're talking to us, it's because we are answering some questionnaire there. So it's very brief. And then after that, the waiting game. You have to wait for 10 days in order for you to get your um registration. Your gosh, what is it? For you for registration that allows you to get married. So after that, then it's up to you. Of course, you have to plan and blah blah blah. And then another process. It took a while, right? So so another process came after the wedding. You have to have, of course, the officiate, whoever officiate this. You have to ask them to have the signature and all that. And then for me, I didn't know that you can ask for electronic copy immediately. So I learned it from another vlogger here. She's also married in France. So you you can ask. You have to write down the paper. You have to write down the. I mean, you have to ask the PSA to make you a copy of your to register your marriage to PSA. So, oh my gosh, I forgot what it is. So anyway, it's basically that paper allows you to have your marriage certificate registered earlier than expected. Otherwise, if you don't do that, you will have to wait 6 months before you can get a copy of before your marriage will be recognized in the Philippines. For me, I did that. I asked for, oh gosh, I forgot what it is. Now there's a paper that is basically I requested for my for our marriage to be registered. So it was registered for only 30, wait,